Hi, this is Sonia. I'm the founder of Travel Awakens. I help travel professionals design and sell transformational, meaningful offers so they can attract more clients, make a bigger impact, and build a more profitable business. Today, we are talking about boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Why are so important in our business and also in our personal life to implement boundaries. So if you are here, if you're interested in transformational travel, in meaningful travel, in intentional travel, I know that you are passionate about travel and you are also passionate about personal growth, about helping your clients to transform, to improve their lives through travel, and you want to help your clients to become this better version of themselves using travel as a catalyst, as a vehicle for this personal growth and transformation. So I know you genuinely care about the transformation and the results your clients get from your services, your offers, your retreats, coaching, whatever it is that you are offering as part of your travel business. So it's not about only arranging the logistics or helping them to make some transactions easy. It's something deeper than that. So you are here. I know this is you, and this is the kind of business that you have, or at least that you are aspire to have. And these kind of people, the people are in this industry, tend to be very generous and giving. So if this is you, maybe you can let me know in the comments. A person, a professional who give the best, and because they care about results, they tend to give 100% or 200% of their own time, energy, intention, care, right? So this is great, and I love, working with people like that. I feel this is one of the qualities that, I want to see in the world, people that are kind and generous and that really care. However, the other side of the coin is the reason why we are doing this episode and we are doing this video, because when you give so much, you if you don't have boundaries implemented, you don't have boundaries in place, there is this risk of being like burnout, stressed, overwhelmed, exhausted, with no energy. So that's the problem. If you feel that you have to be available all the time, if you are constantly, clients are constantly calling you, texting you at all times, evenings, weekends, sending you messages, emails, and you have this feeling that you have to be everywhere and reply everybody and make everyone happy, right? So this is one of the reasons why one of the examples, or in real life examples that can happen. Other examples can be that you are working longer than the hours your clients pay for. Maybe you agreed some price, and then the client makes you ask you for some changes or modifications, and the scope of work just increases and increases, but you are not putting these boundaries or letting the client know that this is extra or this cost extra, right? So let me know if this is you. Let me know if you resonate, so I know this video is important for you, and I can also make more videos like that in the future. So the danger here is that the client takes you for granted. The client don't appreciate your time. They don't value your expertise because it's so accessible and so easy to have with no boundaries. So you just when you give from your heart, you work because you care. But there is a moment, if this happens and you see clients don't appreciate this good willing that you have, the danger is that you will start feeling resentful, and you will start resenting your clients, but also your business and the reason why you created this business in the first place. So you can eventually forget the reason, the excitement that you had when you started this business. And of course, your personal life will also be impacted. Not also your health, because if you end up stressed and burnout and exhausted, your health is impacted, but also the people around you, your friends, your family, your children, your partner. Okay, so and yourself also. Not only the health issue is a problem, but also your social life, or your hobbies. You are not going to spend time doing what you love, playing sport, or maybe going for a walk, or whatever you enjoy doing. So slowly, this the problem that you don't have boundaries, what happens, it translates into the problem of that your personal life slowly disappearing or mixing with the personal life. So what are the common mistakes that happen in professionals, in travel professionals, that I work with, that I see this is the dynamic that they are operating from? So number one is they believe that they have to respond immediately when a client is asking for something, because this is a synonym of good service. Or they believe if they reply immediately, in the eyes of the client, they will be seen as more valuable or better, right, than the competition, or they will really appreciate them. And it's not like this necessarily. We will see in a moment why. Number two, mistake number two is thinking that when you put boundaries, when you set boundaries, that will make you lose clients. So there is this fear, maybe you are conscious, maybe you are not, maybe that's in the subconscious mind, but you are not implementing boundaries because you are afraid that your clients will disappear, will go away, and will go to the competition or will go with somebody else that gives them what you cannot give them. So there is this fear of not having not being willing to put the boundaries, because there is this possibility that the client actually goes away, and we don't want that. Mistake number three is to me is the most important one, because it's like failing to communicate clear expectations from the very beginning. So one of the reasons why we sometimes don't speak up and don't put our boundaries, and we don't say what we want to say in the moment, is because we didn't have clear expectations at the beginning. If you, with your client, before working with your client, you have an agreement in writing, or just you have a conversation, hopefully it's in writing, because it's easier then to go and point to it for the future. But if you say, for instance, that you work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, right, Eastern time, and then your client sends you an email in the evening or during the weekend, this client cannot expect you to reply until the next day that you work, because this work was clear at the beginning. This was something that you agreed with your client, and if they complain or they say something about it, you can say, as we agreed, or as per the agreement, before we start working together, these are my working hours, and I will come back to you within my working hours. So I have to say that even if your client send you an email or a message, a text message in the evening or in the weekend, they will not expect you to answer in the moment. They know is maybe where you are is evening or weekend. They are very aware, if you communicated clearly at the beginning, that you are not working outside of these hours. So they don't expect it, they send it, but assuming that you will reply the day after or the next, Monday. So it's you as business owner assuming yourself and forcing yourself and putting this pressure on yourself to reply in the moment. But this is only in your mind. This is not in the client's mind. And if the client is really not understanding that, after you even say it from the beginning, maybe that's not your ideal client. Maybe you should consider working with a person who does not respect boundaries like that are common sense. But I believe every, growing up person, professional person out there will perfectly understand that you have also your personal life, and you have other clients, and you have other responsibilities, and your world is not, revolving around them particularly, right? So these are the three clear mistakes that I see in travel professionals. So maybe you can let me know in the chat which one do you resonate the most, so I can get to know you better as well and get to know this community better. And now the question maybe is like, okay, but what would be the transformation? How I can go from where I am to where I want to be? How I turn this around? How I change this situation? So first thing first, you have to understand that boundaries don't push away good clients. Actually, they attract good clients. It's like this saying that good fences make good neighbors. Maybe you heard about this. So you will have less arguments and less problems with your neighbor if there is a clear fence that separates your garden and your neighbor garden. So there are no questions. This is yours, this is mine, right? This is what I do, this is what I don't. So if you have these clear boundaries and with your clients that say this is what's included in the price, this is excluded, this is my time, this is out of my time. So you have these boundaries clear from the beginning. It will help you much better in the future. It's going to be much easier because you can say, as we mentioned, or as per the agreement, you don't need to you don't need to create the boundary in the moment. You just need to remember to remind the client the boundary that it was already agreed from the beginning. Also, clearly communicate your working hours, that's very important, but you must respect them yourself. In other words, if you say my working hours are 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and your client said, perfect, that's fine. And then your client sends you an email in the evening or in the weekend, and you reply in the moment, despite this is out of your working hours, you are setting an expectation. Not respecting your boundary in the first place. So that would be confusing for your client because, like, okay, she said or he said that it's not working weekends, but he's actually replying on weekends. So next time, your client will expect that you will reply on weekends, right? So if you have to lead by example. You have to actually follow what you say, because if you make exceptions, of course there is always urgencies and situations, emergencies, that you may decide, okay, for this situation, okay, I will make an exception, but that should be the really exceptional situation, and when it's really something force majeure, something very important. Not should not be the new norm. It should not be a rule, because then you are saying something, some boundaries, but then you are not following through them. So then does not make sense. Your client will keep pushing and you will have lost all the power of implementing boundaries in the future. So number one reason, you have to implement your own boundaries and respect it's kind of, you are educating or training clients how working with you. So if you have clear boundaries and you said this is how I work, then you have to follow through. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. It's very important. And there is some emergencies. You can even have boundaries about emergencies. If your clients are a destination, they are traveling and they need a 24-hour phone call, like a phone number to make phone calls if they need. Maybe you can have you can delegate this to somebody in some connection that you have at destination to be able to answer those calls. Or if you decide you are the one, then in these cases, of course, you have to take the call and you have to answer. But ask yourself, what is the boundaries that you have? How do you want to work? And then communicate clearly to your clients, so it's not going to be confusion in the future, right? So you have to differentiate between emergencies and things that can wait. Maybe you can also put in writing what it is an emergency and what is not, because for your client, it must be like the end of the world, but maybe it's not an emergency. So clearly also communicate and put boundaries about what it is and what is not an emergency will also help and avoid future, misunderstandings. Right. Remember that you are selling transformation. You are selling results. You are not selling unlimited access to you. This is not one of the things your clients should expect from you. They want results. They hire you because they get results with you. And this happens by you implementing certain, steps and stages in your work. But this should not be 24/7 access to you, right? So we agreed that this is not what will help your clients to get results, because first of all, you are only one human being and the day has only 24 hours, and you cannot please every client giving everything to everyone in the world, because this is not realistic. So, and if you do that, you will be so exhausted that it's not gonna be energy for any other client or any other personal relationship in your life. So it's important that you respect boundaries for you, as we said, for your health and your personal life and your relationships, but also think about your clients. If you are giving 100% to one client, what is left for the second client? It's nothing. So you need to also be able to manage your energy and your resources right? If you work with a team, also your team resources and how these boundaries will work to make sure that you can give your clients your best and your team best, and not just the breadcrumbs that are left over after giving everything to the client earlier, right? And if you are trying to manage juggling different balls and managing different phone calls and emails at the same time, that's also not good service. It's much better that you finish with one client and you give your 100% and your presence in that moment or in that call. And then when you finish, then you switch your 100% and your 100% presence to the second client or the second call. Much better than giving 50-50 on, or, 10 here and 20 there. Okay, so having the boundaries as well of not mixing and not running like crazy from one place to the other, but actually saying to the next client, I will be with you in a moment. I have to finish this first. Also could be good, a good practice for you to implement to improve the quality of the relationship with your clients, but also the quality of the service you will deliver, because you can give your best when you are at your best, not when you are tired and exhausted, right? So this is a win-win-win for everybody when you implement your boundaries. And boundaries are like a muscle. The more you practice them, the more natural they become. So maybe this is a foreign language for you to implement boundaries. Maybe you didn't even know that you have the right to implement boundaries. Maybe nobody told you that you could say no to somebody, or you could just say yes, but not now, right? Or later. But this is something that's very important that you have to learn as an entrepreneur and business owner, and you have to implement. Okay. Otherwise, nothing is going to work. No, not for you, not for your clients. See, if you don't change the situation, if you don't implement boundaries, you will end up physically, mentally, and emotionally stressed, burnout, exhausted, and this will take away, slowly this passion and this excitement that you had when you started your business. Remember the reason why you started your business, that you wanted, the kind of lifestyle that you wanted. And this is not the reality that you have when you don't implement boundaries. So something must change here, or you will end up quitting or just sick or something worse. So it's important that you implement boundaries, especially when you want to have a good service and you want to support your clients, because if you are not at your best and you don't respect your rest times, if you don't sleep well, if you don't have, eating well and have social life and have your hobbies and your time for you to fill the oil in the lamp, okay? So if you are running out, it's not going to be a good service, and your quality of your support will also decline. Plus, your family will start feeling resentful and will start saying, hey, we don't see you much. So it's not fair to your partner or to your children that you say, okay, another email and I will be there, or another call and I will be there, I promise. And they are waiting for you to have dinner, or you are on a weekend away and you are answering messages, right? This is not fair for them either. So clear boundaries will help to, all the parts here to be listened and supported. So you will eventually end up creating the kind of job, the kind of business that you want to have, and not the one that maybe is worse than the job you had before being an entrepreneur, that you wanted to escape from that, and now you created your own prison again. So that will not make sense. So it's important that you implement the boundaries. It's not enough just to know them intellectually and to know that you have to do it, but you actually have to implement them in the moment. I know this is not easy, especially when you start your business. You want to please everyone, you want to have all the clients that you can, and you want to keep them happy, and you want to give your best to them, so they come back and they refer you and your business can grow. I understand, I've been there, but there is a moment that you need to actually, put things into perspective and decide that you cannot go into this direction. It's not sustainable over time. So the sooner you implement these boundaries, the better for everybody, for you, but also you are training your clients how to work with you. So the sooner you do it, the better. So if you don't want to do it alone, I can help you. This is part of my mission, that the work I do to help, travel professionals like you to grow their business, to design their experiences, to sell their experiences. But as part of all that, also the mindset work and the boundaries work is important. Part of that is leadership. So there is many pieces of this puzzle that we work together when I work with clients. So if you are interested in learning more, if you want to book a free discovery call with me, we can have a conversation, informal conversation, and talk about what's possible when you start implementing boundaries in your business and in your life.